What's going on, everyone? Rescue J here, back with episode 8 of the Rescueality Podcast. This episode, I kind of want to talk about, the crisis down here in Mexico. Baja California is where I am right now. And this kind of goes for all of Mexico, but I'm speaking mostly of what it's like around here. And this is definitely a much bigger subject and so much more information than I'm about to provide. I just want to kind of give my 2 cents, give you kind of my experience with it, what I see on a day-to-day basis, what I hear, what's going around here in Mexico when it comes to rescuing animals. I rescue dogs. That is my rescue, but this can go for most animals down here. But most of the rescues down here are just doing dogs. So there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of stray dogs down here in Mexico. It is very common for any of you that have come down to Mexico, and it is not uncommon to unfortunately see a hit dog on the side of the road. That's very common down here, unfortunately. So many strays. And a lot of people are like, why can't they just fix it or control it? And kind of couple answers to that question is, one, it's extremely difficult because there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Two, kind of have a lot of other things going on, so I don't think they're really putting it on the priority list. So that's kind of where rescues step in. And what we try and do is we try and rescue these dogs off the streets one by one. And spaying and neutering is a huge operation down here. I have really good friends that all they do is they run spay and neuter clinics. I actually want to have a couple on and talk to them about it, talk about their experience, because they can go into way further depth than I possibly can, even though I have a tremendous amount of experience with it. But when we rescue dogs, every single dog we rescue, every single one gets spayed or neutered, sterilized, and to make sure they aren't having babies, because dogs can start having babies at 7, 8, 9, 10 months old, and you start young, which means you could already have the next generation within a year. And then after that, every 3 or 4 months or so, another generation, and then once those puppies grow up to 7 to 10 to 11 months old, they can have it, and then it's a growing issue that just can't be it can't be fixed overnight, and it takes so many moving parts. There's so many puzzle pieces, and some pieces are getting lost. Some people just stop. Some people don't care, and unfortunately, a lot of things need to change down here. And I know there's problems all over the world. Even in the U.S. and first world countries. I'm just talking about here because these are where my rescues come from. This is where I rescue. This is where my ranch is and where I live. So many strays, and then with the strays, so many diseases going around with them. One of the most common ones are mange. Mange is so common. Giardia, which is a stomach bug that can be transferred from dogs to people. It can be transferred from dogs to other dogs and be transferred to people. Ask me how I know, because I've had it a whole bunch. And if you've never had it, it's basically like food poisoning. It's not deadly, but for puppies, it hurts their stomach enough to where if they have other things going on, they're not eating or drinking, and the fecal matter that they produce is usually super watery and runny, so they're expelling all that water. They're not getting any in. They're not getting any nutrients in, so it could lead to dehydration. Very, very common down here. and it sucks to get. I've had it so many times, not to get graphic. I've had it so many times that now I have it. I know I have it, 100% know I have it. It doesn't even really faze me that much anymore because my body's just so used to it. And the smell, it is such a distinct smell. I can't even explain it. It's kind of like a flavor, which is kind of a gross comparison. Whatever, kind of like a flavor where you're like, I know this flavor, but I can't put my tongue on it. Kind of gross that we're talking about flavor and then a disease with fecal matter. Anyways, not the best, not the best thing to have. It's not deadly, fortunately, but it could lead to worse things, and it could eventually keep building up and up and up and up to cause severe damage. And in puppies, it can definitely lead to more and more. You have distemper and parvo. Distemper and parvo are some of the two deadliest down here, especially in puppies. And with those, if a dog dies with distemper or parvo, it's not like the disease just goes away. It even if you bury it, it can seep out from underneath. I know some people, some rescues who they most of the time you want to cremate those dogs just to get rid of the disease, but a lot of them have buried them, even just a proper burial. But then over time, a month later, a year later, 2 years later, it'll seep out, and then it could actually infect your ranch. Or it can infect your wherever you are. I know some vets, not the 100% correct way, but a lot of vets, if they have a dog that is known to have especially distemper, but parvo as well, and they're in one of their one of the little crates one of the quarantine pens in at a vet's office. A lot of the vet's office down here have metal crates and metal quarantine cages. They just spray a bunch of alcohol, light it on fire, and keep spraying more. And that's kind of a good way to kill it. I don't know if it's 100% foolproof. Seems to be, especially a lot of the vets I know. And some people might be like, "Oh, that is not, not ethical or not correct, or my vet doesn't do this or my vet doesn't do that." Could be right. Probably not ethical. I shouldn't say ethical. Probably not the correct way of doing things, but it's the way that works, especially if you're a vet down here that sees hundreds of dogs a day or does a huge turnaround in your office, whether you're helping the street dogs or you help the street dogs, and then you also have people bring their personal dog. You don't really want to pass off a sickness like that to your dog, because even though it's the most dangerous in puppies, distemper and parvo, it can still infect adults, and it can be deadly in adults. Parvo, typically not. It can be. Distemper, absolutely. There's not really a expiration date when it comes to that, which is why those two are some of the most important vaccines. Actually, they are the most important vaccines to give to your dogs. Another one is TVT, and TVT, don't look it up either before or after you eat, or if you're squeamish. TVT, the best way to explain it is it's an STD cancer. It's an STD, that's how it's contracted from dog to dog, but the only way to get rid of it is through chemotherapy. And the damage it can do, it can remove parts of the face, of the jaw, limbs, enlarge things, every aspect, everywhere on the body. I could do a whole episode just on that. I could do a whole episode on all of these. In fact, I might have try and get some vets on here and talk about that kind of stuff. But in total, all of this together causes such a huge crisis down here in Mexico, with no one really leading the charge. There's kind of just little bits here and there. This person's doing this. This rescue's doing this. This organization is doing this. And they're helping. Most definitely they're helping, but it's definitely not going to be enough. So there has to be more kind of come together to figure out exactly what can be done for all these dogs, for the community, for people to help this situation. And there's some shelters down here. There's some humane societies, but they're so overwhelmed already that if they have any space, it's kind of just a revolving door. They not really anything they can do. Definitely want to do another episode on this with a lot more professionals down here, people who've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years and have seen the progression from crazy to even more crazy to literally the crisis that has become. So hopefully this kind of answered some questions you may have. Maybe you learned a couple things. Maybe you want to hear more about this, let me know, and I definitely plan on having some experts in the field come and talk more about it. So let me know. Thank you for watching this episode, and I'll see you on the next one.